So much good in Arslan Senki. A lot of, there's like a split in the community right now. Like, some people thought that the episode was borderline just stupid, and then others, like me, thought that, like, I can't see where that stupidity comes from. Like, I can't see where the issues in this episode were. I had a couple of issues. One of them was just simply how stupid the king was, but then again, the thing with that is that the scene afterwards, they ask, who is Arslan closer to? Is he closer to being like the king or the prince? Or not prince, but the fuck her name? Princess, queen, whatever. But yeah, they asked that question, and I feel as if the entire scene before was just to show the gap between how Arslan is, how assertive his father is, and how unassertive Arslan is, how hesitant Arslan is. And I feel as if that was the entire reason for the king not retreating. It was to show that one knows how to command his people and the other one doesn't. 147, the CGI was so choppy there, but overall the CGI was nowhere near as bad as last week. Number one, there wasn't as much of it. They animated a lot more scenes this week than they did last week. There was one scene that, like, I remember I hated. When was it? It was when they were firing at the tower, the Lestanians were, and it was so bad. It was like they had, like, all CGI people firing towards the, firing towards the people in the pit or going into the pit. It was terrible. So, I want to get something straight, because there are some people I know for a fact that will be like, oh, how is there going to be a fire when it was, raining prior because there was fog? Oil fires, if I'm correct, can't be put out by water. You'd need a fire extinguisher, so yeah. Correct! If I'm wrong, don't worry, I'm black, so, you know, it's just normal. I feel as if, like, the first 5 minutes were pretty rushed, just because, like, they're like, oh, there's going to be a war, and then after that, 5 minutes later, by the way, we're at war. It's just like, like, usually you schedule, or not necessarily schedule, but you're like, most people don't go into war. And no one that I know, including, like, U.S. governments today, they're not like, oh, by the way, we're going into war, and then, like, you're in a war zone 5 minutes later. That doesn't happen. But I feel as if, like, for the sake of progressing the story, I guess it kind of worked. Not a big issue, just kind of a pet peeve of mine. Another pet peeve was CGI that just stands still in the background. I hate it. I just hate when people in the background are standing dead still. I hate it. When Arslan had to kill that guy and you could see the distress on his face, I thought that that was a fantastic job of, like, portraying what the hell he just went through without really even having to explain it. Because we know that he's a wuss, and so he's going to have to change. We know that. But I feel as if, like, seeing that scene alone was just kind of a, oh shit. I also didn't expect the army for Arslan to go out so fast, or not go out so fast, but the way that they went out with, like, the oil, like a cliff, and then there's oil, and then they just poured fire over the oil. Didn't expect it to go like that. Alex brought up a good point that was like, when the old man was going to survey the area, you know, because that's what he was told to do, how did he not notice the cliff on the other side? But I'm pretty sure the person that went to survey the land wasn't the old man. I thought it was the guy that ended up betraying Arslan at the end of the episode, which explains a lot. If it was, then, you know, that would just be his way of setting up to kill Arslan. If it was the old man, then it was stupid that he didn't see the thing, like, he didn't see the big old pit, but with that being said, he also told Arslan not to go very far so they wouldn't get lost, because I don't think he wanted to venture out so far into that fog. It's like, you don't want to venture out too far in the fog, because how would he find his way back? I mean, like, that was what he was telling Arslan. I guess the same rules apply to him as well. I would hope so, at least. 1359 was a case where there was, like, CGI, but it looked nowhere near as bad as it could have. Like, you could tell it was CGI, but it blended a lot better, and it wasn't choppy. If the CGI, for the most part, is fluid, it usually isn't as... It's usually not terrible. If it's at least fluid. When it's choppy, especially in this show, it's terrible. But it wasn't that bad this episode. There were a couple of scenes, like I said, when they were firing at the tower. Oh, man, that looked terrible. But overall, it wasn't that bad. Love the OST. I liked the theme song at the chorus. I thought the chorus was fucking amazing. But past that, nah, I didn't really care for it. Animation this episode wasn't that bad either, but I don't feel as if it was as fluid as last week, except for the last two fight scenes of the show, like when Arslan was fighting. I thought those were pretty good. 637, there was a little small derp face on Arslan. I can't let that slide. You guys know how I roll. Gotta be a little nitpicky because I am Salt Dakun. There was an inconsistency in, like, the fire and the smoke. Like, there was one point, I think I have it down. 1810, there was, like, a point where, the scene right before it, Arslan had fire. He was literally in the face of fire, and then after that, the next scene, 1810, there's no fire on his face. There's no, like, light on his face right there. So, like, there's a little nitpick. There's another thing where the smoke and the fire was not, they weren't consistent. Like, one scene the smoke would be a lot bigger, one scene the smoke would be a lot smaller. One time the fire would have spread, the other times it would have receded. So, I've also been told that the body count had constantly been changing, like the amount of dead bodies on screen. I personally didn't notice that, but if that was something that changed, well then, shame on you, Arslan. But yeah, great episode. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you guys did enjoy, please leave a like, comment. This is going really well, especially for Leiden Films. They're handling this series a lot better than I thought they would. I thought it'd become a disaster. Some people think it already has become a disaster. I don't see that, but yeah. I'll see you guys later. Deuces.